Hello, my name is Sarah Willoughby. I'm the author of He's Making Diamonds, A Teen's Thoughts on Faith Through Chronic Illness, and the host of the Diamonds Conference, a free online conference for Christians with chronic illnesses. Today, I want to talk about writing about your chronic illness because this is something that I do. And specifically, we're going to focus on the nonfiction aspect of that. However, if you're interested in a fiction video about how to write about your chronic illness or different aspects of that, please comment down below, let us know, and I'll interview in a fiction author. But specifically, I want to talk about how to write about a chronic illness without it being too dark. When I first got sick, I did what any good Gen Zer would do. I Googled my questions because I had a lot of questions and I didn't know anyone who had experience with the questions that I had. I wanted to know how to reconcile what I was experiencing with my faith. I wanted to understand how do you pray when you can't think in sentences because of brain fog? How do you honor God when he says don't fear and you're experiencing anxiety or trauma or things like that? How do you honor God when you're experiencing grief and loss and changed life plans and you're having to surrender things that you never thought you'd have to surrender and that your peers aren't having to surrender or let go of? And just all the questions. So I Googled them. I tried to find books, blogs, anything that would talk about how to navigate these struggles and these questions and these things that I was experiencing. And I just wanted to know that I wasn't alone. I just wanted to know that there were other people experiencing these things because I felt like I was the only chronically ill teenager, especially the only Christian chronically ill teenager. So it just felt like such an isolating thing. And so I Googled and I found two different types of blogs. I found the blogs that were all sunshine and daisies, that were just have hope. It'll be fine. It's good. You're fine. God's working in it. And that was very isolating and discouraging because my experience was not sunshine and daisies, and just putting a smile on it didn't seem like the right thing. And then the other side of that was I found blogs that were doom and gloom, and it was all doom and gloom because it was someone's private journal basically turned into a blog post. And while that made me feel less alone, and some of those were honestly so helpful to get to lament with someone else, it also was just, it felt very discouraging. It felt like it was hopeless and helpless, and I wasn't reminded of the hope in those things. And so I started writing my own blog, and that it's taken a bit to become the blog that it is, which you can find linked below. But my goal was to write things that were not just sunshine and daisies and that were not doom and gloom, but things that were what I was looking for. And that honestly, it was a lot of preaching to my own heart, of speaking truth to my own heart, of going, this is my experience and this is what's true, and wrestling. I think most of my blog posts start with a question. How do we do this? How do I do that? How do I honor God in this? And I would write and write until I wrestled through and found some sort of resolution in my own heart and mind, and then started publishing it. But here's the thing. It really is quite simple, I think, because it's easy to be afraid of you writing stuff that's too honest and too dark, because chronic illness itself is dark. It's not necessarily that you are a dark person or that you're writing things that are dark just because you're not, you're emotionally in a place that's hard. Chronic illness is a hard, dark thing, and so it's okay if there's darkness, if you're writing about darkness, because that's what you're experiencing, and honestly, that's what other people are experiencing. But there's also light, there's hope, there's truth. There are, it's a tension and a balance like everything else in life. And so if what you're writing is a lament, there is value in sharing your lament. But if everything that you are writing is sorrow and anger and fear, and you're hoping to encourage other people through your writing, well, then maybe write those things. Please write those things, but don't publish them so quickly. Don't publish them maybe in the moment. And I think I write a lot. I did a different video about writing about hard topics with vulnerability, but I just wanted to encourage you to have a balance. Don't be afraid of writing about dark things. I think it's so important that we write about dark things, and to do it with honesty. That's really the biggest thing, I think, is to write with honesty. Write the real things that are happening. Write the real experiences, the real emotions that you're experiencing, the real questions that you're asking God, because that's what's going to encourage someone else who's suffering. Be honest and be real. But there is hope too. Write with hope. Write with encouragement. Write with truth. Some days you might not feel it. I don't feel it. There were times where I would write something, and I would write about something hard, and then I would write what I knew was true, and I didn't want to publish it because I knew that if I published it, it was like I had some kind of accountability to be living what I had written as truth, and I didn't feel like it. Or there were times where I would write something and I would get to, my articles for me usually start with personal story, audience connection, like, all right, this is what I felt when I had this diagnosis. This is how you might feel when you have this diagnosis. Maybe it's the same, maybe it's different. And then this is what we can do about it. This is the call to action. This is the encouragement. This is the truth. This is what God says. And there were times where I would write those first two parts, and then I would be like, I don't know what the third part is. I don't know what that is. And so it's hard. But there is hope, and there is encouragement, and there is truth, and there is beauty in the desert. There are flowers in the desert. There are streams in the wasteland, and those things are there. And so when we write about chronic illness, let's not just write doom and gloom, and it's not just write sunshine and daisies, because neither of those are the full truth. Neither of those are the full, honest, real experience. At least not in the big picture, and not if we're wrestling and if we're coming to God. And right now, maybe all you feel is sorrow, or maybe all you feel is rejoicing, and that's okay, and that's wonderful and beautiful, and God will meet you there, and he will work there, and there is value in expressing both of those things. But I just want to challenge my fellow writers to write about their experience with honesty in all the different ways. Write the pain honestly, and write the hope honestly, the hope that doesn't make sense, because our God is beyond our understanding. The hope and the joy and the good things that you're experiencing in it, the gratitude, the growth, all of those things are also part of it. So the way to write about chronic illness without making it too dark is to write with honesty and to write with hope. It's not that you have to pull your punches. It's that add the truth as well. Add hope and encouragement as well. So I hope that helps. I feel like I was a little all over the place, but you know what? There's the honesty from me. Comment down below what your advice would be for how to write and hold that tension of hope and truth and honesty and joy and all of those things. And yeah, so like, subscribe, comment, all the things, and I'll see you in the next